Hi gang, so in this video I am going to be doing a first impressions of a couple of eyeshadow palettes. I picked this up from BH Cosmetics. These are the Sweet Shoppe palettes. This one is the Pistachio. There we go. It's got a little mirror on top. And these are green shades. Pretty much the bottom row is entirely matte and the top row is entirely shimmery. And for the cotton candy one, we also have a similar concept with the top row being all shimmers and the bottom row being all matte. I will say that these have some sort of faint kind of candy scent to them. I'm not very partial to scented makeup. Okay, I think I'm gonna go in with the shade Light and Airy right here. And I'm gonna put that on the outer corner of my eye. I've already primed my eye with Urban Decay Primer Potion. So I'm just taking that on a fluffy brush. This is my Isam S33 brush. And yeah, here we go. Just gonna pat that on. These are quite bright shades. And definitely more summer inspired. Okay. Builds up fine. Although I feel like this part here, it's grabbing on more so than, like in the crease area, it seems to be more pigmented and then kind of fading away. I don't know. Is it my imagination or does this look a bit patchy to me? I think we figured out why I have these rashes on my neck. I think this is ringworm. Martin and I did cat sit for a couple of our friends recently and the timeline seems to add up. They have one cat that seems to have a skin infection and I think I might have gotten it from that cat. I remember picking the cat up and holding it to my chest like that, and this is kind of where the rashes started appearing. So yeah, I'm kind of afraid that Frederick and Luna might end up having ringworm. So I think we're gonna have to bring them to the vet. I don't know, this eye looks a bit patchy to me. If I'm not, yeah. This one looks kind of okay. I think I'm gonna layer that shade right above Light and Airy. This shade right here. And I'm gonna put that right above the lash line on the outer third of the eye with a flat packing brush, and let's see how it goes. I'm not spraying my brush just yet. I kind of want to see how it performs without spray. Well, that's actually kind of pretty. It's just a tiny bit deeper than the matte version, not matte version, but the matte counterpart. They're within the same kind of color family. I'm going to take the shade Nutty and I'm going to put that in the inner corner of the top lid. And then I'm going to layer Sweet Life on top of that. So I can already see that overlapping the shadows is really not a good idea, because obviously they're on opposite ends of the color wheel, and that is, yeah, that's not pretty. But we can kind of try to fix that eventually. So I'm gonna take the shade Sweet Life, and this time I'm gonna spray it because this shade looks stunning. And I'm gonna put that on top of, whoo! Wow. Now that's shimmer. Actually, I don't know if that matte green base actually did anything, because this looks pretty opaque alone. I think I'm gonna go back in with that swirl shade, which is this shade right here, and I'm going to kind of try to finesse the shape of the outer corner. I realized that a lot of beauty YouTubers, those that are concentrated in the categories of makeup and so on, are very apologetic for things that they can't control. I find that this is very common. Like I said, I have this little ringworm thing here, and I think a lot of people would apologize for having something like this, like a rash. I'm sorry that there's a rash on my I'm sorry that you have to look at my rash. I'm sorry that I have a pimple. I'm sorry that my nails are not done. I understand that in this beauty YouTube space, there's a lot of expectation for, I guess, some level of perfection, but I feel that there's really no need to apologize for something that you can't control, and that is just a part of being human. I think this expectation of perfection is slightly damaging and also unrealistic. So I have a rash, I have a pimple. Sometimes there's stuff in my hair and I don't realize it. So I think I'm going to make this conscious decision to never apologize for something that is out of my control. If it's something that, well, maybe I messed up the sound quality, or if there's a piercing sound in the background, or if something that I've said is unclear, something that I've shown is unclear, something that is within my control and is a reasonable expectation to have, I think that's fine to apologize for. So I think for the brow bone, I'm gonna mix the shade Light and Airy with Confection, and those are Light and Airy with Confection. So this is Confection, this is Light and Airy. Gonna mix those two together and put that on the brow bone, and let's see how that goes. I wasn't expecting this look to be so bright, and I also wasn't expecting this palette to be so bright. It's kind of neon pastel. Like Sam said, I'm not really a neon pastel person. This is what she mentioned just yesterday, and yeah, I think she's right. I do like color, but I like deeper colors, deeper colorful colors. There's nothing wrong with something like this. Colorful is fun sometimes, but I think my jam is definitely jewel tones. Thank you, Sam, for helping me realize that. But honestly, this is looking very much like a look that I would do with, let's say, the Deuce palette by Juvia's Place. Can you see these two? That's what's on my eye pretty much. I think I would like this palette a little bit better if it had a deeper shade somewhere. Maybe this one if it was much deeper than this. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty palette. I do like the shimmer shades, particularly the matte shades. They're, like I said, they're very neon pastel. I feel like I really need to darken up this look, but there's nothing in these palettes that makes sense to darken up this look. For instance, this shade right here, Cone or Cup, this is dark, but using that on the lash line with this pink is going to turn it a weird shade of blue, probably. I guess I could line my eyes with Crunch. This one's a kind of metallic green emerald shade. I'm going to use the shade Nutty. On the bottom lash line. I'm going to use the shade Cone or Cup, which is this shade right here, Cone or Cup. Okay, so for the inner corner of the bottom lash line, I think I'm going to use the shade Treat, which is this one right here. Go in a bit with the shade Guilty Pleasure and Nutty mixed together. So these two shades right here. I'm gonna use this shade right here, the shimmery emerald green. And I'm taking that on a lining brush, picking that up quite liberally, spraying it with my MAC Fix Plus and using that as liner. Ooh, that's actually pretty nice. So let me just clean up everything, do the rest of my face, and then I'll come back. Okay, so this is the finished look. I think this look is a bit brighter than I normally go, and I don't dislike it. I think it's fine. But yeah, let's just get down to the eyeshadow formulas. I definitely prefer the Pistachio palette over the Cotton Candy one. I had a little bit of issues with the blend of the matte shade Light and Airy. I think it was this one. I would have liked to see a darker matte shade. Granted, this is a summer collection, so the shades are primarily more pastel and neon and bright and fun. For my personal taste, I usually like to have a very deep shade, kind of darken up the lash line. The shimmers in both these palettes seem really nice. I'm not too fond of the mattes, although I will say that as far as pastel mattes go, these are okay. They're not bad. I actually do prefer the formula of the Morphe from the Jaclyn Hill palette. These neon shades right here are, I don't know, I just find them easier to work with, and they're very similar to the shades in this Cotton Candy palette, to be honest. And obviously I haven't tried all of the shades from these two palettes, so I will try to do an update on these. I like the Pistachio palette a little bit more, that deep green shade on the top. This one, the shimmery one right here, this one stood out quite a bit. And with the other matte shades, I did dip into Nutty a little bit, and I dipped into Guilty Pleasure. They seem to blend out just fine. Cone or Cup is quite nice as well if you want a little bit of a dark foresty green. Yeah, overall I definitely prefer this Pistachio. So I mixed these two a little bit, and I gave myself a little bit of a highlight on the cheekbone. Doesn't look too bad. I just wanted to quickly mention that I did see Nicole Quinn talk about these palettes as well as Breyonna Faye, and they seem to like it. Breyonna Faye in particular seems to really enjoy these palettes. I personally don't have the same experience with these palettes, and I also did look at some swatches by a channel called Makeup Spectrumz. So I will link all those channels down below if you're interested in checking them out. If you're interested in the swatches, Makeup Spectrum has swatches of all the 6 palettes for you to look at. So in the US, it seems that the Sweet Shoppe palettes go for about $18, and the 9-pan palettes by Juvia's Place, at the moment the Dupes palette is not on their website. I'm not entirely sure why. I think that these are a better deal. They're a little bit more expensive, 20 to 25 USD. I think it's definitely more worth it. I do like their formula better. I like their packaging better. These palettes don't have any sort of scent to it. I find that the Sweet Shoppe palettes have a bit of a candy scent, which I don't like. I think with Juvia's Place, their colorful palettes, their color stories are a little bit more interesting, a little bit more versatile. However, if you are in it for the more monochromatic color scheme, then Juvia's Place also does have these 6-pan palettes. The pan sizes for these minis are a little bit smaller, but I prefer these. Obviously, the big 9-pan ones, these pan sizes are quite huge. So they're a little bit bigger than the BH Cosmetics Sweet Shoppe palette ones. Just based on what I've seen so far, I don't think I can recommend these. I will definitely play around with these a little bit more, and eventually I will give you an update in a later video. There are quite a few other palettes that I want to give a little bit of a rundown on. I've had the opportunity to use them more frequently, and because of that I formed a more well-rounded opinion. So these palettes will be in that updated video, along with, I think, the dual chrome palette from Nivea Cosmetics. This is definitely a brand that I am extremely happy to have found. So that's it from me, and ciao for now.